Let me start with a question from a parent, a very interesting one. A child is academically bright. The child scores very well in mathematics. The child wants to become an engineer. Everything seems to point in one direction. But then comes the psychometric assessment, and the numerical ability score is extremely low. In one real discussion, parents mentioned students who had scored around 89% or 91% in mathematics at school but received a numerical ability score of just 2 or 3 in an assessment. And naturally, the question came, what do we believe, the report or the child? Welcome to Spoken Careers, home of career decision intelligence. I am Dr. Sudhir Reddy. My answer is, neither should be believed blindly, because the real job of an assessment is not to make the decision for us. Its job is to help us ask better questions. Here is today's golden minute. One number can start a conversation. It should never end one. Remember that, especially when we are talking about a child's future. Now, let me ask you to look at this situation carefully. Imagine a student who has consistently performed well in mathematics year after year. They understand concepts, they enjoy certain mathematical topics, they voluntarily choose challenging problems, and they say, I want to become an engineer. Then suddenly, during one assessment, their numerical ability score comes back extremely low. Should we immediately say, engineering may not be suitable for you? Absolutely not. But should we simply ignore the assessment? Also no. This is where career guidance becomes more than reading a report. Question 1. Could the student simply have taken the test casually? Yes. Sometimes students don't take an assessment seriously. Sometimes they are distracted, sometimes they are tired, sometimes they rush through sections, sometimes they become overconfident, and sometimes they simply want to finish. So before interpreting a surprising score, ask the child, how seriously did you take that section? Not accusingly, just conversationally, because the testing situation itself matters. Question 2. Could time pressure explain it? Absolutely. Numerical ability assessments may involve working under time constraints. A student may understand mathematics very well, but struggle to perform quickly under test conditions. Those are not necessarily the same thing. Think about it. There is a difference between I don't understand this and I understand this, but I couldn't solve it quickly enough. Those are two very different problems, and they lead to very different guidance. Question 3. Could the student's learning environment matter? Students from some international board environments may be accustomed to using calculators regularly. So a student may have excellent mathematical conceptual understanding but be less comfortable performing certain calculations manually under assessment conditions. Again, that doesn't automatically mean this child is weak in mathematics. It may simply mean the assessment is measuring something different from what the school marks have been measuring. And that distinction is incredibly important. So what should a career counselor actually do? I would go deeper. Look at the student's history. What have their mathematics scores looked like over several years? Not just one examination, not just one assessment. Patterns matter more than isolated points. Then ask, what does the student actually enjoy? This is where it gets interesting. Maybe they love mathematics but particularly enjoy geometry or trigonometry or statistics or logical problem solving or mathematical modeling or applying mathematics to real-world situations. A student saying, I like mathematics is only the beginning. We need to understand what kind of mathematics do you like? And then ask the career question. Suppose the student says, I want to become an engineer. Now we have another important question. What kind of engineering? Because engineering isn't one single career. Different engineering pathways demand different combinations of mathematics, physics, spatial reasoning, logical reasoning, problem solving, computational thinking, persistence, and technical interest. So we shouldn't jump from a low numerical score straight to engineering is impossible. Instead, we should ask, what evidence do we have? This is exactly where I believe career decision intelligence becomes useful. We shouldn't look at a child through one lens. We should triangulate. Think of it as 4 pieces of evidence. First, performance. What has the student actually demonstrated over time? Second, interest. What does the student genuinely enjoy? Third, behavior and personality. How do they approach problems, pressure, persistence, and learning? Fourth, assessment evidence. What patterns are emerging from the psychometric assessment? When all four point in the same direction, our confidence increases. But when they disagree, that's where the real counseling begins. Imagine this: mathematics performance is excellent, mathematical interest is high, engineering interest is high, personality is comfortable with problem solving. But the numerical ability assessment is very low. That is not a conclusion. That is a red flag worth investigating. Maybe the student rushed. Maybe they didn't take the assessment seriously. Maybe they struggled with time. Maybe the assessment environment affected performance. Maybe there is a specific skill gap. Or maybe the assessment has revealed something we haven't noticed before. We don't know yet, and that's precisely why we investigate. There are two mistakes parents can make. Mistake number one: the test says low numerical ability, so engineering is out, too extreme. Mistake number two: the child gets 90% in mathematics, so the test must be wrong, also too extreme. The mature approach is interesting. These two pieces of evidence disagree. Let's understand why. That's career guidance. So here's today's question. If your child's assessment result conflicts with what you have observed about them for years, what would you investigate before making a decision? Would you check their previous academic performance, their genuine interests, the specific subjects or concepts they enjoy, their behavior during the assessment, time management, their learning environment, or their intended career? Or perhaps all of them? Because a child's career is too important to be decided by either a report card or a psychometric report alone. The real answer lives in the pattern between the evidence. And perhaps that's the most important lesson from this parent's question. Assessment is not about finding a number, it is about finding meaning behind the number. A score of 2 doesn't automatically mean you cannot become an engineer, and a score of 91% doesn't automatically mean you must become an engineer. Both are pieces of evidence. The counselor's job is to understand the whole person behind them. To explore more insights and future-ready resources, visit www.spokencareers.com. I'm Dr. Sudhir Reddy. This is Spoken Careers, home of career decision intelligence. Don't let one number define a child's future. Keep learning, keep growing, walk your path with courage, live it with purpose, and always lead with love.